Hello everyone and welcome to Barca News. It's October 10th, 2022 and Barcelona have met with Jorginho in order to discuss a possible signing of the Italian midfielder in the summer of 2023. Also, Antoine Griezmann is officially an Atletico de Madrid player and there are more details about the possibility of Lionel Messi returning to the club. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, we begin with the news that Barcelona defeated Celta Vigo 1-0 yesterday at the Spotify Camp Nou, and with this victory, Barcelona has maintained their #1 spot in the Spanish league. Now it was a poor performance by the team in a match where Celta Vigo could have easily tied or even won the match. Now there were some surprises in Xavi's lineup with the 3 Barcelona left backs starting the match with Alejandro Balde in the right back position, Gerard Piqué and Marcos Alonso as center backs, and Jordi Alba in the left back position. Now this was most likely Xavi resting Sergi Roberto and Eric Garcia ahead of the match against Inter Milan that's gonna be followed by a Clásico against Real Madrid. Now in the midfield, it was the usual trio with Gavi, Sergio Busquets and Pedri, and I was surprised that Xavi did not rest some of the midfielders, especially since we face off against Inter Milan in 2 days only. Now in the attacking lineup, we saw Rafinha back on the right side with Robert Lewandowski as a center forward and Ferran Torres starting over Dembélé. Now Xavi most likely either rested Dembélé so he can be physically ready for the Inter Milan match, or it could have also been Xavi resting Dembélé since he didn't have a good performance in the Champions League last week. Now the team started the first half very strongly and they dominated most of the first half, and there were a lot of fast transition and good triangulations, and as a result the team created a lot of chances which resulted in Pedri's goal, and with all the chances that Barcelona created they could have scored more goals, but unfortunately that didn't happen. Now despite the team having a strong start to the first half, after the first goal, their performance began to decline and Celta Vigo were able to regain some of the control over the first half, and they were able to create some chances towards the end of the first half. Now the second half is where things got very bad for Barcelona, and Celta Vigo dominated the entire second half and they created a plethora of chances, and they were even able to score a goal that was fortunately disallowed by the VAR. Now the final minutes of the second half were absolutely nerve-wracking, where Celta Vigo had many chances to score, but fortunately Mark ter Stegen had another brilliant performance and he was able to keep Celta Vigo from scoring, and as a result Barcelona were able to end the match 1-0. Now once again this match had controversy when Rafinha was brought down inside the penalty box and the referee refused to award Barcelona a penalty kick. Now this was even more controversial because only a few weeks ago Celta Vigo committed the same exact foul in the match against Real Madrid, and in that match the referee awarded Real Madrid a penalty kick, but in this match they refused to award Barcelona a penalty kick for the same exact play. Now I usually don't like to talk about referees because I don't think that there's some kind of conspiracy out there or that teams pay referees to rule a match a certain way. If I believed that, I wouldn't bother watching football, because why would I want to watch a sport that's rigged and where the results are predetermined before the match begins? Now another reason I don't like to talk about referees is because I believe if a team does its job, dominates a match, create chances and scores goals, then the referee bad calls should not matter as much. A clear example of that is when Barcelona defeated Cádiz 4-0 and Alejandro Balde was brought down inside the penalty box and the referee refused to award Barcelona a penalty. However, it didn't matter because at the end of the day Barcelona still won that match 4-0. However, it's getting very difficult not to talk about these bad refereeing calls because it seems that time and time again referees are refusing to award Barcelona clear penalty calls in both La Liga and the Champions League. And La Liga and the UEFA need to take a hard look at their regulation and how referees are applying them, because these bad referee calls can make a big difference in the result of the match, especially in the Champions League where the smallest detail can mean the difference between a team qualifying to the next round or getting eliminated. Now, this is the third match in a row that Barcelona have not performed well. They didn't perform well against Inter Milan or Real Mallorca either, and I'm not sure if this is the team still finding their rhythm after the international break, or if this was the team being focused on the Inter Milan match. But either way, the team are gonna have to improve their play, because if they don't, I don't see them qualifying to the next stage of the Champions League, and I definitely don't see them winning La Liga either. Now, despite Barcelona's poor performance, there were some improvements over the Inter Milan match, where there were some flashes of good triangulation and fast transitions during the first half, which was a big improvement over the Inter Milan match, where the team heavily relied on just sending crosses to the box, hoping that Robert Lewandowski would head them in. Now, speaking of Lewandowski, this is the third match in a row that the Polish striker hasn't had much protagonism or involvement in the match. And this is not so much his fault, but more the team's fault, who have been failing to send balls to the Polish striker, which begs the question, why did we sign the best number 9 in the whole world if the team are going to fail to get him the ball? So this is something that the team are definitely going to have to work on before the Inter Milan match and before a Clasico, where the team are going to have to improve on getting the ball to Robert Lewandowski to make sure he can score those. Now, with Barcelona's victory, they're still at the top of the Spanish league, after Real Madrid won their match 1-0 against Getafe, and Barcelona and Real Madrid are now tied on points. So Barcelona are going to have to win El Clasico on Sunday, October the 16th, to make sure they retain the leadership in La Liga. Now, during the match, Mark ter Stegen was involved in a play where he seemed to hurt his back, and the medical staff were called onto the field to attend to the player, and the club have now confirmed that Mark ter Stegen has suffered lumbalgia. However, it's not clear whether he's going to be out some matches as a result of this injury, and hopefully that's not the case, because with the injury of Koundé, Araujo, Andreas Christensen, Memphis Depay, and Frank Kessie, we cannot afford to also have our goalkeeper injured, who's been having a great start to this La Liga, especially in this very hectic week where we're going to face both Inter Milan and Real Madrid. Now, speaking of injuries, it's reported that Jules Koundé is doing much better than early anticipated, and it was initially reported that he could be ready for the Inter Milan match. However, the club have now reported that Jules Koundé will miss the Inter Milan match. However, he could be ready for a Clasico over the weekend, but the medical staff are going to do a bigger evaluation. They're going to evaluate the risk before deciding on whether Koundé is going to be able to play that match against Real Madrid, because they want to make sure that his injury does not get re-aggravated by coming back too soon. Now, in the case of Frank Kessie, the club have informed us the same thing as Jules Koundé, and that is that Kessie is gonna miss the match against Inter Milan. However, he could be ready for a Clasico, but the medical staff are gonna evaluate the risk to make sure he's not rushed back and that his injury is not getting re-aggravated as well. Now, in the case of Memphis Depay, the club have informed us that the player is recovering faster than initially anticipated, and he's even had some trainings with the first team. However, the medical staff do not want to rush his recovery, because he's had several injuries to the same hamstring. So they have set the end of October as a time frame where Memphis Depay could be back with the team. Now, before we continue with the news, if you are enjoying the content of this video, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking this video as well. Not only is it free to do so, but by doing so, you will be helping this small and humble channel continue to grow. Now, on to the news that Barcelona Director of Football, Matteo Alemany, has met with Jorginho's agent in Barcelona to discuss a possible signing of the Italian midfielder in the summer of 2023. Now, Jorginho's contract will be up with Chelsea in the summer of 2023, and it's reported that he doesn't want to renew his contract with the Premier League club and that he's looking for a new challenge. Now, as a result, Jorginho's agent flew to Barcelona last week to offer the player to the club, and even though Barcelona have neither confirmed nor denied this meeting, it is reported that the club are considering signing Jorginho, given that he's a player that fits the Barcelona profile and given that he would be arriving in the club as a free agent. Now, Matteo Alemany has confirmed at the General Assembly that took place this weekend with the club's members that the club is going to follow the same formula as these past two transfer markets, where they're going to look to sign free agents in order to save the club some money. Now, Barcelona were able to sign Andreas Christensen, Frank Kessie, Hector Bellerin, and Marcos Alonso as free agents, and Matteo Alemany took advantage of this time to thank those players by saying that they had rejected better offers in order to come to Barcelona, and that the club really valued that. Now on to the news that Antoine Griezmann is now officially an Atletico de Madrid player. Now, Griezmann was on a 2-year loan with Atletico de Madrid, and the Madrid-based club had restricted his playing minutes because they were trying to avoid triggering the clause that would have forced them to buy the French player from Barcelona for 40 million euros. Now, Barcelona had contemplated taking Atletico de Madrid to court for what they were doing. However, they decided that they wanted to avoid a trial and they wanted to avoid prolonging this whole situation. So they agreed to negotiate with Atletico de Madrid, and as a result, Barcelona agreed to sell the French player to Atletico de Madrid for 20 million euros plus 4 million euros in variables. Now the contracts have finally been signed by all the parties involved, and Atletico de Madrid has announced that Antoine Griezmann is officially a player of theirs, and he has signed a contract with the Madrid-based club until 2026. Now on to the news that more details have been revealed about a possible return of Lionel Messi back to the club. Now, it's been confirmed that Lionel Messi's entourage and some members of the Barcelona club have had some external communications. However, neither Messi nor Laporta have had direct communication because it seems that both parties are trying to feel each other out to see if there's a possibility of signing Lionel Messi and returning him back to the club. Now, it's reported that Lionel Messi's entourage has informed Barcelona that if Messi goes back to Barcelona, he's willing to accept a salary reduction, however, not a substantial one. It's also reported that Messi's entourage informed Barcelona that if he does come back to the club, he wants to have a starting role. Now, this conflicts with Barcelona's goals in trying to bring Lionel Messi back, because as I reported in a previous video, it's reported that Barcelona, in order to bring Lionel Messi back, he would have to take a substantial salary reduction in order to fit into the strict pay scale that Joan Laporta has implemented at the club, where no player would earn more than 10 million euros. Now, Barcelona had also reportedly requested that if Lionel Messi comes back to the club, that he would do so in a secondary role, because they don't want Messi back if it means that young players such as Gavi and Pedri would have to be benched. So it seems that both parties are not in agreement so far on the terms of Messi's return. So we're gonna have to see whether Lionel Messi will be able to return to the club in the future. Now on to the news that Samuel Umtiti had his debut with his new team Lecce, and he provided an assist during that debut. Now, as I reported in my last video, which I will leave the link for down below in the description in case you want to check it out, Umtiti had not had a single minute with his new team Lecce, where he's spending this season on loan, and that had sounded the alarms in Barcelona, because they were hoping that he could get back to form and have a good season with his new team in order to increase his market value, and so Barcelona could offload him in the summer of 2023. Now, it was reported that the reason why Umtiti hadn't featured yet with Lecce was because he had requested from his new team a window for adaptation where he could train and get back to form before he can debut. Now, it seems that Lecce agreed to that request, and Samuel Umtiti had his debut with Lecce over the weekend, and he was able to provide an assist in that debut. Now, this happened at the same time that Joan Laporta confirmed during the General Assembly with the club's members that the club do not count on Samuel Umtiti, and that Joan Laporta is going to look to offload him permanently, because all the Barcelona coaches had confirmed that Samuel Umtiti cannot play with Barcelona. Now, we will end today's video with two brief updates. The first one is that Uruguay's coach Diego Alonso has confirmed that they're gonna save a spot for Ronald Araujo for a possible return for the World Cup. Now, the second update is that Barca Atletic have suffered their second defeat of the season where they lost 2-3 against Atletico Baleares. Now, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a like. Also, I'd like to invite all of you to please leave a comment down below, giving me all your thoughts and opinions about all the news that I share with you. And finally, I would like to invite all of you to please subscribe to the channel so you can stay current on all the latest news in regards to our beloved club, FC Barcelona. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. And as always, Visca Barça.